This is Mac, of course. You guys know me from the previous webinars, but today I'm joined by Hannah Liquidini. You guys might have seen her CC'd on some of our emails and whatnot because she's been helping us a ton in the background with the challenge. And so when we were thinking about what webinar we wanted to do for you all this month, we thought it would be really fun to highlight just some of the kitchen tools that are super handy to have in your kitchen. Sometimes they can be expensive and you wonder if they're worth buying. So we're going to go through just some different kitchen items that we have found to be useful in our own kitchens. So we'll go ahead and start with Hannah. Do you want to share what you brought today?
Yes. So I brought several things. I'll start with this one here. This one's probably my favorite out of all the things I brought today. This is an immersion blender. It's also known as a hand blender. I don't know about you guys, but I do love smoothies, but the worst part about smoothies is how messy they are to clean up, you know, taking the blender off and cleaning it up. And I've also read that one of the dirtiest places in your house is actually the gasket of your blender. And so that kind of creeped me out too. So I went and got one of these. I actually got this on Amazon. And when you make your smoothie, you just take this off and rinse it and you're done. It has a turbo mode. It cuts right through ice, frozen fruit, and it's like the easiest, nicest way to make a smoothie. You can also use it for soups if you don't want to, you know, tote your soup from the stove over to your blender and blend it that way. You can just use this right in the soup. So.
And you're going to be making a smoothie, right? You're going to show us how.
Yeah. So I'll be demonstrating a smoothie with this.
Cool. I like it.
The next thing I brought were these silicone mats. I love these because they're super easy to clean. They're a substitute for parchment paper. Parchment paper is great and it does help with cleanup. This also helps with cleanup. It's a little bit more environmentally friendly. So I just like these. They can go up to, I think, about 480 degrees. But if you buy them, make sure you check the degrees on the one that you buy. They come in different sizes because we all have different pans and pots and everything you can use them in. So yeah, and they just swipe and clean and they're like the easiest thing ever. I'm all about easy in the kitchen. So
I just got me some and I'm a big fan already.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And they're really easy to store too. They roll up really small, so I just love those. Yeah. The next thing I brought is called a mandolin. Mandolins kind of get a bad rap because sometimes they can cause injuries if you don't use them correctly because they do have a very sharp blade. But if you use them correctly, they are a lifesaver in the kitchen. You can use different blades here to cut or dice or whatever you want to do. You can even put a serrated blade on here to make noodles. And it just catches right down here. So it makes it really easy. So I'll be demonstrating this one later as well. Make sure you read up on the safety with this. There is a guard that comes with it. You can also buy a glove if you're nervous as well. Just make sure you use it properly because it can result in injury. But like I said, you use it correctly, it's a lifesaver. It makes things go so quickly. And it's easy to clean.
I feel like I see that on like an infomercial or something.
Yeah.
And it just looks cool.
Yeah. I'll demonstrate how to use that. We're going to make some zucchini lasagna noodles with that. So yeah. And then the next thing I brought was a green pan. I love these green pans. You guys have probably heard by now that nonstick Teflon is not the best option for us if we can get away with using something else. Maybe you've tried cast iron or stainless steel and it's just not working for you the way maybe you miss your nonstick. Green pans are made out of, I think they call it, thermalon, which is actually a derivative of sand. And so they melt that down and use that as a nonstick coating instead, so it's a lot more natural. You guys have probably heard that the way Teflon is made is, you know, with the plastic laden with chemicals that make that nonstick coating. It makes it really dangerous for us to eat or eat off of. And they've actually found that that plastic is in 99% of Americans. It's crazy, but a lot of people use Teflon. This is a really great alternative to that if you are missing your nonstick and you want to try something a little bit healthier.
So on the pan package, or how do you know if you have Teflon?
It'll say Teflon on it.
It will. Okay.
So if you look for a nonstick pan, make sure you look at what it's actually coated with in the product details. Okay. It will tell you if it's Teflon or not. I think they're required to tell you that it's Teflon.
Okay. It must be in like fine print.
Yeah.
I don't see it usually. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a little sneaky about it. I think a lot more companies are coming out with safer alternatives to nonstick. This is just one of them, and this is the one I found that I like. My husband and I both love to cook, and so we kind of went in to research our own on these because we knew we needed new pans. He loves it, I love it. You can fry an egg and flip it, and you don't have to use a spatula or anything. So yeah, do your research. They're literally just called green pan. I love these ones. You can use them on any stovetop as well, which is really nice.
And you can cut down on the oil, right?
You can cut down on the oil for sure.
Yeah, that's great.
I've noticed that you don't have to use hardly any, so that's nice. The only thing about these, for the cons on these, is you can't stick them in the oven like you could a stainless steel or a cast iron. But that's not a big drawback for me because I love having a nonstick again. So yeah.
And her husband is a great chef, so if he says this is the pan, I actually have the green pan, but the white version.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know those are pretty too. Those look.
Well, I don't know anymore, but they were when I bought them. Yeah.
Okay, and then the last one I have is a salad spinner. Most of you are familiar with what a salad spinner is and what it does. It is salad season. A lot of people have their greens coming on in their garden, or they're just craving salads a lot more. The good thing about a salad spinner is not only does it get rid of all that moisture after we pick them and wash them, but once that moisture is gone off of the leaves, it helps your dressing to stay on a lot better. So you're not just left with like a bowl of dressing at the end. But yeah, I love having a salad spinner because it's just so convenient. You're not sitting there shaking your greens, waiting for them to get dry. You just stick them in here and spin them, and they're dry, and you can start using them right away. So
this is my salad spinner, and we love putting like our cilantro in here. And then it's like a workout, you guys. I'm over here like hardcore getting it spun. So if for the weight loss piece, it's super handy to get a little workout in. But definitely a game changer.
Yeah, those are the ones I bought. So
sweet.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what you got.
Well, I don't have as many as you do, but I do want to. I feel like we might be getting questions.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first one I brought, I was at this. Where was I at? Twin Falls does this like big craft fair during the holidays, and I saw this lady just go into town on potatoes with this scissor knife, and I thought I have to have that. So I bought it, and it's been really cool. I don't always use it, but when you look at it, you'll see there's almost like a mini cutting board here, and then this side is the knife, and it's super sharp, and you basically can cut vegetables with it. So I might just do a quick demo right now while we're talking about it, but you can literally put I have celery here, you can put it here, and it just chops away. So if you have a kiddo at home, maybe who's not great with knife, or if you're like me, I have balance issues due to my injuries, so sometimes chopping on like higher tables or weird places is hard for me. So this has been extremely helpful, especially with carrots, potatoes, things like that. So you can chop them into smaller pieces if you want, and you don't have to have your hands close by. So that's kind of my first one. I think it's just called a scissor knife. If you Google that, you should be able to find it. I was trying to figure out the brand name of this, and it's not on here. But it's super handy. It does clamp shut. So when you're storing it, it doesn't like open up and you don't cut yourself. So that's nice. The next one is they call this like a pastry knife, or what I use it for is a scraper. So if you have not used silicone mats or parchment paper, sometimes you have lots of stuff on the pan that you got to scrape off. So this is great because it can just literally scrape off all the mess off of your pans and help make cleanup way easier. It's also great just to like pick food up and put it on and like toss it or do whatever. So we'll just put it in our little bowl here. So I would say this is super handy, and you can use it for pastries too, like cutting dough. It's sharp enough you can kind of play around and cut with it, and it's super versatile. Do you use one of these?
Yeah, it's funny. We have one a lot like that, but we bought it at the Home Depot. It's literally like a paint scraper, almost the exact same thing. We use it all the time, and I was going to mention too, we use it for cleaning. We have a stainless steel prep table that, if we're doing dough or whatever on it, it's so easy to just clean the whole thing off with that first and all the big stuff off. But Yeah, it's amazing how useful that thing is. You would never guess.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably the most versatile tool I have. Something that's not very useful, or like it's useful but not versatile, is the next item I brought, which is a tofu press. And you guys will laugh because I bought this for this webinar. So when we found out we were doing this webinar, I was like, I really want to try this and see if it's worth it. So I cook tofu all the time, but usually when I press it, I got like it on a plate, and then I've got a plate, and then I got like cans of food on top, and it's just like trying to press all the liquid out. And you want to get the liquid out of tofu because it'll absorb whatever seasoning or marinade that you're putting into it, and it'll cook better versus just like crumble on you. So when you're working with like firm and extra firm tofu, you want to press it for 20 minutes before you cook it or bake it. So they have tofu presses. This is a tofu bud. And I go back and forth on it. When you look at it here, it's been pressing for like 30 minutes, and it's definitely getting the liquid out hard. Like there's a ton of liquid at the bottom here. And what's nice is you can press it and then within 20 minutes drain the water and then press again. We didn't do that, so there's lots of liquid in here. But it is nice because it gets out way more liquid, I can tell already. I've only used this once, than my traditional method of stacking random objects on top of it. So you'll find that you'll see quite a few of these on Amazon. I think this one is, for what I paid for it, it's kind of expensive, so I probably wouldn't buy it if I didn't cook tofu a lot. It was like $28 or something. And for one, when it's not very versatile, I struggle with that, but I think it's going to grow on me. So this one, I think it's kind of one of those items that you may or may not want to get, depending on how much you use tofu. But I'm a pretty big fan for the most part.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and then the last one I brought is the it's called a chop and stock cauliflower tool. And maybe Hannah, I should just demo it as I talk about it.
Yeah.
Because so I found this on a website of a gal I follow of just, she does recipes all the time. And if you like cauliflower, one big recipe that's pretty popular right now is the cauliflower wings or bites and things.
Yes.
And we love those. But I really dislike chopping cauliflower. Like it gets everywhere in my home. I'm like wheeling on top of cauliflower bits. And it's just a hot mess. So when I saw this, I thought, wow, I need to give this a try. So again, I bought this for this webinar. You guys got me to buy 2 items, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to show you how it works. You basically take the one end here and you just, well, maybe I should got the big part off. Oh no, it's going to cut all the way through it, you guys. So we'll get through that. And then you have this bottom part here, and you basically get rid of the core. So you don't have, whoa, and it's sharper than you think it is. Which I found out last night. It makes it so much easier for the cauliflower to just break apart.
They're perfect floret.
Yeah, and that's one thing I noticed when I try to cut cauliflower with a knife. They just look really weird. They don't look professional like they do in the cooking videos. So then you can either break them apart or you can use the tool to keep chopping. And you have nice little cauliflower wing bites. We, like I said, we used this last night for cauliflower wings and it was delicious. So if you just Google chef, I wrote it down here. I think it's called Chop and Stalk, S-T-A-L-K for the stalk. It should pop up, and it usually has like a little green handle that you can use, but it's really sharp, so it cuts through it pretty easily. It doesn't take a lot of effort. So pretty cool tool that I think is definitely worth the money. So those are the few items I brought. I'm gonna do a little demo with my Vitamix here soon, after Hannah shows us how to use, her mandolin and immersion blender.
Yeah. I'm gonna clear some of this out first.
Okay.
Let's start with the smoothie.
Okay. What is in your smoothie?
So we're gonna do something a little simple. I just brought just fruit and seeds, basically. I think it's strawberries, peaches, banana, kale, and then like chia and hemp seeds.
Yum.
And then this is, you can go buy some green juice at the store. It's real bitter, but it's really good for you. I like to mix it with a little bit of OJ when I make my smoothies, so that's what this is. And when you are picking out an immersion blender, like I said, if you do like smoothies, make sure you get one that cuts through ice. Most of them do. Some of the cheaper ones don't. I burnt out a couple immersion blenders, not knowing that they were not graded for ice or frozen fruit. So make sure you double check that. So we're just gonna dump that in there. You always want just a little bit of liquid. We'll see what color this turns out. I'm thinking it's gonna be green, but it's always a surprise what color smoothies come out.
Right? They're always like, they should be a beautiful color, and when mine come out brown, I'm like, well, that didn't work.
Especially if you mix like greens and berries, like the purples and the greens, they come out a color. Okay, so my immersion blender has a turbo button. I've never actually had to use that. I think that's to do it a little bit faster, but I've really only done smoothies and all I needed to do was use the regular button. So I'm also using a wide mouth jar. Most people have these at their house. If it's wide mouth, most immersion blenders fit right in there. You don't have to buy a special container. But you can if you want to. They do sell special containers for immersion blenders. Some of them have like the sport tops on them, so you can just make your smoothie, put the top on and go. And those are really nice too. But I like just having it in a jar with a metal straw. That's like my favorite. So yeah, give this a go. Sorry, that's probably too much.
I was nervous it was gonna come spitting out at you, but that was really nice.
Yeah, it has this guard on the top that prevents that. And it creates almost like a suction in the bottom, so sometimes your fruit will get stuck to the bottom a little bit, and that's why you do the up and down motion to just get everything up and moving.
Nice.
And the best part about this is this bit right here. And then you literally just go rinse the top and put it back away. And it did turn out a really funny color, but I'm sure it's gonna be good.
I'm gonna get you a spoon so you can try
Oh,
it.
that's a good idea.
We're big taste testers here, so see if the mixture was good. Here you go.
And I probably would normally go a little bit longer than that just because I like a really blended smoothie, but it is good. You can taste the kale. It's really good.
I feel like I'm
too.
eating a soup.
I know.
That was a big jar.
Yeah, that turned out
That was
good.
yummy. Good job, Hannah.
Yeah, good
I
stuff.
like it.
You want me to do the mandolin real quick too?
Yes.
So with the mandolin, I think they also recommend that you like to have one of the sides of your fruit or vegetable you're cutting flat because it makes it a lot easier and safer. So what I'm gonna do, I don't know how well you guys can see all this, but I'm gonna cut the head off this guy. And then I'm just gonna cut a real thin slice off of one side to make one of the surfaces flat. And I'm sure you can probably do it without that, but it's probably better safe than sorry, right?
Yeah, I'm backing up because you got me nervous about this.
So the guard that comes with it, they're all a little bit different. This one will have arrows telling you which way to go. It does have these little pokies in it, so you can really get a really good grip on whatever you're using. So I'm just gonna dig that in there, and if you want to cut your fruit or vegetable even smaller, you can. The smaller the better. If I was cutting the zucchini long ways and making circles, I would cut this in half first because that would be too big. But since we're laying it down flat, I'm just gonna cut it the way it is. And just go as slow as you need to. You can raise the blade up and down with however thick you want it. Just go slow.
I'm gonna move this so they can see you.
Good call.
There we go.
And it might not feel like you're doing anything because the blade is so smooth, but you'll see. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to show you what we're doing. So then you just take this off, and you've got these beautiful little zucchini lasagna noodles.
That is so pretty.
I know, isn't it? You can also make like zucchini roses. I don't know if you guys are into like making your food very beautiful, but my sister-in-law makes like zucchini and apple roses and stuff. So you can use a mandolin to just get a different, just kind of spice up your usual food. I know a lot of people are used to like half discs with zucchini, but this just adds a little flair. You can try something new. You can make, everyone's tried the noodles before, but yeah, it just gives you some more options to have your food a little more fun.
You know what I would do with this? I would put hummus on it, and then like some pepper or something, and then roll it up and put like a toothpick in it.
Well, that's a good idea. Yeah, I've seen people turn these like into toasts. You can roast them,
yeah,
and they're just like little toasts. You can spread stuff on them. So,
but what if you put like pesto inside there, and then
like a stuffed?
Yeah, that would be yummy. I like that.
We're gonna cook when we're done here. So.
Well, you've already convinced someone to buy green pants. I saw that on the comments. So yay you. That's really cool. They recommended a movie in the chat box too. So
I haven't seen that. I'll have to, because that's. I'm surprised I haven't seen that. That sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, sounds. I've been way into documentaries lately, so I'll check it out. The last demo or piece of equipment we're going to talk about was the Vitamix. Lisa knows I'm obsessed with this. I talk about it way too much at work. But if you are contemplating whether you want to buy a Vitamix, I would encourage you to wait till Costco has their sale. In the spring, they always give like $100 off because it can be really expensive. But I will find, since I bought it, it's been so worth the money. And today I'm going to show you how to make a chickpea cookie dough. Super easy and delicious, so you can see how the tool works. A lot of times I'll make smoothies, of course, in here, but then I also like to make dressings in here. So I cook plant-based, and a lot of times dressings will have cashews or things that are just kind of hard for a non-high-speed blender to blend up. So I really like it for that reason. Hannah, would you mind plugging me in on this side? Great, thank you. So cookie dough is delicious, but sometimes it's not always our healthiest option. So I'm going to make a chickpea cookie dough that is a little bit healthier and just something more fun, I think. We're going to be using chickpeas, which I have in this bowl here. So I'm going to put those in. The chickpeas are going to add lots of fiber and nutrients for us, so that's going to be cool.
Can you buy chickpeas? You just buy them in a can, or?
Yep, so I bought these in a can and I drained them, so I didn't start from scratch or anything. I went the easy route. And then I have a quarter of a cup of rolled oats. You can use the old-fashioned quick style, or oh gosh, what's the other one I'm looking for in my head? Not rolled oats, yes. Yep. So we'll put those in. And then I have a fourth a cup of, the recipe's called for creamy peanut butter, but I think we all know you're either a creamy person or a crunchy person. And I went for crunchy because that's who I am. So I have a fourth of peanut butter we'll put in here. You gotta get every last bit because peanut butter is so good. You could use almond butter, and really any kind of nut butter you prefer. And then what I'm gonna do is add, there's just 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Anytime you do sweets, the salt can really enhance the flavor. So you want just a little bit of that, not too much. And then I add some baking powder here. So we need 1/4 of a teaspoon. Oops. Get it real measured out here. Struggling. There we go. Okay.
And what's the baking powder good for if you're not actually baking it? Or is this good to bake?
So you can actually bake these. I discovered that out. So if you do want to bake these later on, you can, and that usually just helps baked goods rise. So, I mean, I haven't made this recipe enough to know exactly why, because there's not flour or anything in here, but we'll find out. So we're going to taste test it. I've learned you always make a recipe as is the first few times until you figure it out. Learn the hard way. So we're gonna put this on and start blending it. The Vitamix has this nice little tool that can kind of help push down everything on the side once you're blending it.
Did you want the maple syrup that's sitting?
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's hiding.
Thank you. It is hiding. So I do have vanilla here. It's a tablespoon of vanilla. I was thinking, what am I missing here?
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Probably won't be that sweet with that one.
No. So a tablespoon of vanilla. I like to use the pure vanilla extract. And then to sweeten it up, you're going to use 1/4 of a cup of maple syrup. And the maple syrup, if you don't want to add that much, you can always add a little bit less and then add more as you go. Okay, now we're going to blend now that we have everything in there. Depending on the type of Vitamix you get, there's different series and whatnot that you can buy. So there's like a pull setting. I don't know if you guys can see it with it facing this way. And then just the regular blend setting. So we're going to start with the blending setting, and then we'll probably have to pulse it because at the end we're going to add some, these are cocoa nibs, so they don't have any like milk in them, but most people will use chocolate chips. So if you're a fan of chocolate chips, you can put that in instead. And there's 1/3 of a cup of the chocolate of your choice. So here we go. Okay, I'm gonna just scrape the sides just a little bit and then we'll keep going. We're getting closer.
You're just doing a time check. It's 12:28.
12:28, okay, perfect. We're almost done. Oops. As I spill cookie dough everywhere. While I'm wrapping this up, Hannah's monitoring the computer. Are there any questions for Hannah and I as I finish this? I feel like it's smelling like cookie dough, but that could be just me wanting it to smell like cookie dough. No, it totally smells like cookie dough.
I can smell it over here. It smells really good.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to add in, we're just getting real messy with cookie dough here. The little cocoa nibs. And we will. Oh, my spoon's already in here. I was thinking I was going crazy. We might need to just might not blend these. I'm just gonna stir these chocolate chips in because the consistency is already like cookie dough. So I'm gonna put some in this clear bowl so you guys can see it a little bit better. I doubt you can see it too well where you're at. Hannah, do you want to do a little taste test?
Absolutely.
I think the consistency, you could actually roll these into nice little balls. I'm gonna let you spoon it out. You can see it does look like cookie dough, and it's kind of got the consistency too.
Wow, it almost tastes like butter right away. That's crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got like a hit of butter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's really good. If you like butter, it's really good.
I'm just gonna have a little bit of this on the side here. Oh, wow.
Right?
So after you get done cooking it, you can roll it in balls, or lay it flat. You can freeze these or store it in an airtight container for up to 5 days. And have like a nice little sweet treat at the end of the day. But I almost might add like maybe a date in there to add some extra sweetness because it's not overly sweet. And maybe that's because we use the cocoa nibs versus like chocolate chips. But overall, I think this recipe is a keeper. If you guys want that recipe printed out, I can send that to you via email. So just type your name in the chat box if you want it, and I'll send that to you via email separately. But are there any questions from any of you?
Looks like we're about 2 minutes over, so.
Okay. Well, if there's no questions, thank you so much. Thank you, Hannah, for joining me. And you're awesome.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys next time. We will be putting this on the St. Luke's YouTube weight loss channel. So we'll send out the recording in your Carium health tips. So watch for that. Bye, everyone.